Today's episode is about a problem that almost every single dental practice I've ever worked with, and it's been a lot, it's a problem they all have. And most of them don't even know what's happening. What happens to your leads after they don't book? The people who reached out but never actually got on your schedule. What happens to them in your practice right now? Hey, welcome back. This is the No BS Dental Growth Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Pistorius, and today's episode is about a problem that almost every single dental practice I've ever worked with, and it's been a lot, it's a problem they all have. And most of them don't even know what's happening. What happens to your leads after they don't book? Not the ones who booked and no-showed. That's not what I'm talking about. That's another episode, right? Not the ones who were patients and ghosted you. I'm talking about specifically the people who reached out, maybe filled out a form, maybe they called in, maybe they clicked on your ad, but never actually got on your schedule. What happens to them in your practice right now? If you're like most practices, the honest answer is nothing. And that nothing is costing you a lot of money. So stick with me for the next 10 minutes or so, because I'm going to walk you through why this happens, what the typical drop-off points are, and exactly what a good follow-up system looks like. And if you get value from this, please hit subscribe. New episodes come out every week. All right, let me paint a picture for you. You spent money on Google ads. Someone searches dentist near me. They click your ad. They land on your website. They fill out a contact form, or they even call you, even better, right? You paid for that click. Could be $5, could be $50, depending on your market. Here's the question. What happens in the next 24 hours? Actually, what happens in the next 15 minutes is a bigger question. Well, in a well-run practice with good systems, that lead gets followed up within minutes, if not seconds. They get a call back, a text, whatever the preferred method is, and if they don't respond immediately, they get a structured follow-up sequence over the next several days. In the average practice, someone on the front desk sees the form submission, tries to call once if they have time right then. If not, it'll just sit there. Maybe they get a voicemail, they leave a generic message, and then they move on. They're busy. It's not their fault. If the patient doesn't call back on their own, which most don't, by the way, because nobody wants to go to the dentist, I hope I'm not telling you something you don't know, right? It's easy for people to put that stuff on the back burner. But if they don't call back, that lead is dead forever, typically. And those ad dollars you spent, gone out the window. Even if you're not spending ad dollars, right? It's still money out of your pocket. And you have no idea that it's happening because nobody's really tracking it. This is what I call the invisible leak. The leads are coming in. They're just leaking right back out before they ever become patients. This is why sometimes I say it's not always more marketing that you need. Sometimes we have to fix the holes in the bucket before we add more marketing. So let's talk about why this happens. There's really three main reasons. Number one, your front desk might be overwhelmed. They've got patients checking in, phones are ringing, insurance to deal with, maybe somebody called in sick, and a stack of things that need to get done before the end of the day. Following up on a lead that went cold 3 days ago is not on their priority list, and honestly, that's what automation is for. We live in a world where automation does not have to replace humans. We live in a world where automation makes the humans that you have more efficient, if that makes sense. Number two, there's no system in place. If someone doesn't book on the first attempt, there's no defined process for what happens next. No second call, no text, no email. The lead just falls through the cracks because there's no net to catch it in. You don't have to be a big practice to do this. We've implemented this in single doc practices where sometimes the doctor's the one answering the phones. You don't need a lot of money to put something like this into place. Number three, pride. This one's subtle, but I do see it all the time. There's a mentality in some practices that says, if they want to come in, they'll call us back. And I get it. Nobody wants to feel like they're chasing people, but your competition is chasing them and they're winning. So let me throw some numbers at you because this is where it gets real. The average dental practice converts somewhere around 30 to 50% of new patient inquiries into actual booked appointments. Not talking about referrals here. These are cold people that find you on a list somewhere. They don't know anything about you, which means up to 70% of the people who reach out never become patients. Some of those people generally are not a fit. Wrong insurance, wrong location, just browsing. That's fine. I'm not talking about those. But a huge chunk of that 70%, they were interested. They just didn't get followed up with in a way that brought them back. Here's the kicker. People don't make dental decisions the same way they make pizza decisions. They think about it. They get busy. They tell themselves they'll call back. And then life happens and they forget. Your job is to stay in front of them long enough that when they're ready, you're the name they remember. Research across service industries consistently shows that it takes 5 to 8 touch points before a lead actually converts, a cold lead. 5 to 8. Most practices make 1 or 2 attempts and call it done. Now just imagine in the back of your mind, what if some of those just 20% were able to convert? What does that add up to month over month, year over year, dollar-wise? So what does a proper follow-up system actually look like? Let me walk you through what we build for our clients. Day 0, same day someone reaches out, they get an immediate response. If they called and left a voicemail, they get a text back within minutes, acknowledging we received their message and giving them a way to respond that's convenient for them. If they filled out a form, same thing. Day 1, a personal phone call, not a robocall, an actual person trying to connect. If no answer, a voicemail is left, a very strategic voicemail, by the way, with a specific callback number and a warm message. Not call us back, but hey, we'd love to, whatever they inquired about. We have some openings this week. Day 2, a follow-up text, short, friendly, low pressure. Just wanted to make sure you got my message yesterday and you've been taken care of. We've got a spot open Thursday morning if you'd like. Day 4, an email. This one can have a little more content, maybe address a common concern, maybe share a patient story. That works really well. Give them a reason to say yes. Day 7, one more call, one more text. And then the lead doesn't die. It goes into a long-term nurture sequence. Monthly emails, maybe a direct mail piece, because 6 months from now, that person might be ready. And when they are, you want to be the practice that they've been hearing from. This also works great for higher end cases like implants, because those are typically a little bit longer of a sales cycle. Now, none of this happens manually, though. This is all automated. This is no more man hours for your front desk. It triggers the moment a form is submitted or a missed call is detected. Your front desk doesn't have to think about it. It just runs. And maybe some of you are thinking, I already have this. I have it through Dentrix or Weave or whatever system you're using. That may be true, but when you're using solutions like that, they're out of the box. They're the same exact stuff that 1,000 other dentists are using. All they're doing is basically changing your name. You really need a customized approach to this. So it makes every person feel like you're their only patient. And that's where an agency like us can really help to write that. I want to specifically talk about one version of this problem that we run into a lot in our own business. And I know that dental practices see too. They no-show. Somebody books a consultation. They're on the schedule and then they just don't show up. No call, no text, they ghost. What happens next in your practice? Do you have a specific recovery sequence for that? Some practices don't. They might call once and say, hey, we missed you today, and that's it. Don't give up that quickly. A proper no-show recovery sequence looks like this. An immediate we missed you text. Make it easy for them to rebook right then and there. A follow-up call the next day. An email that acknowledges they showed interest, life got in the way, and you'd still love to help them. And then a slower, longer follow-up cadence over the next 30 days. Some of your best patients are going to come from no-shows who were recovered because they already know you, they already like you, they already trust you. They made that decision already. So don't give up on them after just one missed appointment. So here's the bottom line. If you don't have a defined automated follow-up system for leads who don't book, you're just throwing money away as a significant percentage of your marketing spend every single month. And even if you're not doing marketing, you're still throwing money away. This is one of the first things we look at when we work with a new practice. We're a marketing agency, but we're not looking at their ads. We're not looking at their website. I mean, we are, but the first things we do is we look at their systems, their follow-up process, their front desk health, because you can't build on a leaky foundation. Pouring more water into a leaky bucket isn't going to fix the problem. It's just going to cause more leakage, right? Now, the good news is this is completely fixable and you can fix it pretty damn quick. It's more of a systems issue, not even really a people issue. And the ROI on getting it right is absolutely massive. That wraps up today's episode. If you're sitting there thinking, I generally don't know what happens for sure to my leads when they don't book, that's a sign you might need to fix or at least start asking some questions. So head over to kickstartdentalmarketing.com, shameless plug, book a free call with me, and let's take a look at everything together. And if you haven't subscribed to this podcast yet, please do it right now. It takes 2 seconds, costs you nothing. And I promise every episode is going to give you something actionable that you can take back to your practice. I'm Chris Pistorius. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Dental Marketing Podcast. Make sure to visit our website, www.kickstartdental.com/podcast, where you can subscribe to the show in iTunes, Spotify, or via RSS, so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in the show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes. Or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, that would help us out too. If you are ready to grow your practice, then you might want to schedule a free strategy session with us. Just go to kickstartdental.com and click the free strategy session button and give us 15 minutes of your time to change your practice forever. Be sure to tune in next week for our next episode. And thanks for listening to the Dental Marketing Podcast by Kickstart Dental Marketing, where dentists go to win online.